Hello, everyone, and welcome in the next episode of umbraCoffee. And hi, Callum. How
Hey,
are you
Marcin.
after your holiday period?
I'm good. This week's been a bit stressful, as we were just discussing, but it was nice to be away for a bit at least.
Yeah, and,
You went
as we
for
were discussing, yes, but just for the weekend and just local travels. But we've been just talking before that it's not the same even to travel during these crazy times, and yeah. But I'm glad that you took some rest and you are ready and back on track.
Yes.
Did you follow all the updates from the recent times which you missed
Well, I was
around
hoping
Umbraco?
I was hoping you'd fill me in, Marcin, but I think there's been quite a lot of stuff, hasn't there?
Yeah, as always. Last week we've been just referring to the .NET Core release of alpha version of Umbraco, and I've even seen some of the blog posts flying around where people were referring to this umbraCoffee episode, which is good, and we can all see it in action, and more people were playing with that. And this week, of course, the biggest and the main announcement is the new version of Umbraco, which is 8.7.
7.
And it was a very awaited release. Plus, it was also released in release candidate couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, or even more. And then it was patched, fixed, tested, and a lot of people were sharing their experiences with 8.7. Plus, all the 8.7 features were also moved to the .NET Core version of Umbraco, and it's here, and it's already and it's released. Everyone, I think a lot of people is really happy because we don't have only a new upgrade. We have a lot of new features and also massive improvements when it comes to content creation and editing content within the new Umbraco. So there is a blog post. Yeah,
really impressed to see here that 210 bugs were fixed.
Yes,
and of
exactly.
those, nearly 190 of them, 185 are from the community, which is incredible. I saw James South on Twitter. I guess he was talking about this, saying, bragging about the number of bugs fixed isn't a metric that you should be proud of. But at the same time, I think 185 community contributions is also maybe a positive way of looking at this. So.
Yeah, it's like the whole narration was about let's say 210 improvements.
Yeah.
And features announced, but that's exactly the way how it is. But of course, within the developers, we know what bug fixes are, and we know that it's just improving the general understanding of and usage of the software. But yeah, this number is massive. Plus number of contributors and people involved in delivering this big release is impressive.
I saw loads of accessibility improvements. And then, in fact, you can't understate the amount of effort that HQ have put into this either, because the block editor has been literally over a year and a half in the making, and it feels really polished. We saw when we had Niels on, but also validation, which is like as I joked before, it made me cry. It's like this is what it segments comes from Perplex team. So there's a lot of work that's gone into this release, big release.
Exactly. I think that most of us or most of developers who will be using it and editors will be discovering those small bits over the time, because it's not even possible to list them all. I tried to scroll through the whole list of those features on improvements, and it's so long that we will all experience that in life. But talking about features which are and things which are not easy to be seen, there's a lot of performance improvements as well. There's a lot of small bits and tweaks done behind the scenes, so not only things which are visible are improved here. So big high five for everyone involved in releasing this version, and I already installed it on some of the projects, so can't wait to see and measure all of the improvements which it gave as just an addition to the standard installation. And this number of pull requests,
insane.
Oh damn!
Of course, Ken is still on fire, but there's still a fantastic spread of people. Oh, I'm on there as well. I didn't know that.
Oh.
Got a pull request in there apparently.
There's an even link to that. But yeah, I like the indicator of the first pull request to Umbraco repository. It's a great highlight for everyone who spent some time and invested their time and efforts to help the project, and it's also good in the relation to the all Hacktoberfest activities which are upcoming. Because I think we all as a people and the developers, we need to do something on purpose or for purpose, and if we'll be recognized and seen, and we will feel that our work helped really for someone else, that's amazing to see, and big congrats for everyone who started contributing, and hopefully it will turn into the continuous contributions and general improvements of the project.
I think we're gonna talk a little bit about Hacktoberfest later. There was one thing I wanted to mention whilst we're looking at this. Could you scroll up to the bit about content apps on DocTypes? So Tim Geissens raised a really interesting issue, and this has been a thing for forever, about content apps. Maybe the name isn't so good, maybe not so descriptive, and raised, I think, a really interesting point, which is we've now got content apps on media, I think, members, and document types. Almost any entity in the CMS, we've got a content app, but media, document types, members aren't content. So does content app really fit? And maybe that this should be something renamed. Maybe it should be context apps, or I know that a few people have thrown some other ideas around before. And I think now there is an issue on the issue tracker, which Philip actually asked Tim to go and create. So maybe there's a bit of discussion to be had then, and maybe now we can. It's purely superficial. It's a name, but I think
but we all know that naming is hard, and I'm glad that issues like that are popping out, because sometimes we are just following and using it, and someone new is coming again and saying, oh, it's why it's called content app if it relates to media app or something like that. So I totally get this.
It's an example of a feature that's maybe scaled beyond its original purpose, and therefore it perhaps needs a better name. And you could argue the same thing for like content type, document type, because we use those now for defining elements and other things in the CMS. Maybe that some names don't really scale as well. So let's see what happens. Maybe
exactly. Everyone can contribute and help in naming as well. That's always a challenge. But speaking about this release more, we've seen a lot of small improvements again. You've been talking about document types, but document types icons and icons for document types are finally there as well. There is a lot of improvements which are affecting other areas of Umbraco ecosystem, same as improvements for the Uno platform, which I totally missed, to be honest. But right now we can see how it all helps for the content editing process.
Perhaps we aren't the target audience for Uno, but it is fantastic seeing this with this WYSIWYG, pretty powerful WYSIWYG experience baked into Umbraco, and how Umbraco themselves are using that in their own product. So you can see here literally how, as they're editing something, they've got a live preview of effectively exactly what it's going to look like on the front end, and changing stuff in real time, updates, and it feels really snappy and responsive. So this is a really nice experience that a lot of people do want and need. Maybe not us, but maybe other people. And I'm going to have a bit of a play with this on one of my sites over the coming week.
Me too. And I assume that it's just this fancy feature which we've been seeing on the demo of the block editor. So it's kind of upgraded version of the whole engine, Igla engine for the themes here on Uno. So looks really good. And if we, as we were talking in the past, that it's aimed to attract new people coming to the Umbraco system as well. They can right now see this journey, and even this image and this animation shows the real power of easy and fancy content population process. So that's really nice.
I think so.
And speaking about this editor, Soren teased us.
Only a matter of time.
Exactly.
Didn't I say it's gonna, like, after the episode with Niels? It's going to be weeks before we have a grid based on the block editor.
We should sit down here and just throw some ideas, or just expose our dreams of Umbraco, and all of our great community members will just pick them up and do them. And after this thread, what I observed as well was that a lot of people were thinking about it. A lot of people were trying to put something in work, and Soren just proved that it's possible, and we can all follow right now one step closer to previews, one step closer to live editing of the grid elements, and yeah, everything can be made with that, and such a limitless possibilities with.
As I said actually in the thread here that that this is also just one approach for a grid. When we sat down at the retreat a year ago now and started thinking how could this kind of new way of storing data work for things like grid layouts, more complex layouts, we discussed, a CSS grid might be an option. So where here Soren's got blocks for each row and each column, you could just position all of that with positional data, and that's kind of again separated from the block editor, which is really, really nice. We were discussing it yesterday at the London meetup as well.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking as well is that right now we will all need to probably spend more time thinking how the journey will be built if we are going to use content blocks and editor, this approach for a content editor process, which is good because, again, we will get back to the position where the journeys will be tailored for specific use cases rather than trying to suit all of the solutions. And right now it will be defined for the specific project purpose and stuff like that.
Definitely. I think, you're right. It'll be really interesting to see the custom experiences people start to build on top of this foundation. And I joked yesterday with Lee. You might remember he wrote a 24 days article, maybe a year or two ago, about how there's loads of content apps, and content apps were the thing. And now it seems like, I think block editors is the trend, and everyone's going to be building block editors or incarnations of block editors. A block party.
Block party, and some people joined block party as well. We'll be talking about it, and of course proved us and delivered some of the improvements for their packages to be working within the new builds. But exactly, maybe Code Garden Awards next year, right? That's custom solutions, best custom block editor experience.
Before we move on to something else, we're still talking about 8.7. There was a lot of discussion this week. Maybe you saw, I think mainly on Slack, around improvements to 8.7 and people wanting to get those in before it shipped. And of course, like that's not always possible. I know that a few people made some good pull requests, maybe some good contributions, raised some good concerns. They're all things that I guess will be addressed over the coming few weeks. The thing I will say is I've been really impressed with how smooth and well communicated this release has been. I think we can all admit, you look back, a year, 2 years, and the whole release schedule was like discombobulated. Like you had it was just a mess, wasn't it? You didn't know when something was going to be released. We didn't really have release candidates. We've actually had a release candidate for the past, I think, 4 or 5 releases now. It's been great. And 8.7 was pretty quickly released, but it looks relatively good so far. And I was going to say, maybe if you can open our Umbraco up, we can just have a bit of speculation for a while, because there is something exciting on the release page. Now, I may get in trouble for saying this, but as of this morning,
we like troubles. As
of this morning, if you go to the active in development releases, you'll notice that the next it's under download now. I'm going here, all the releases, previous releases, and then in progress on the side. So you'll notice that whilst we had 8.7 only yesterday, actually got 8.8, and it has a release date on it, which is only October 1st. Yeah,
but that's also what I was going to say, that those minor major releases are really well planned, and they are right now well shipped, better shipped, and they are not causing any issues. Maybe it's hard to say any issues, because issues and bugs and problems are always in every software, but it's smoother than ever been.
This release has said before that this release has basically been ready for months. It's all community contributed pull requests and things. So maybe we're just going to start seeing a much more rapid point release cycle rather than these patch releases. And then it makes it a bit less scary to have, okay, maybe something missed the boat for 8.7, but 8.8 is in this case literally a matter of weeks away. And providing these numbers are accurate, I guess we'll see a release candidate in the next week or 2 weeks for that release. So it's signaling this much faster iteration on the releases. And I know that Philip has shared that they want to move away from kind of version numbers so strictly and just do more semantic versioning, which again means being less afraid of going, oh, how can we justify this is 8.8? Like it's just 8.8 because it contains enough changes. So yeah, this is going to be coming in the next few weeks, I think. Interesting time.
That's really exciting, and as well as every software creator, whenever we are releasing an upgrade, we are taking care of users who are going to upgrade. And right now, as you've said, it's more safe to do it, and I haven't observed any major issues with upgrading Umbraco since I remember right now, so which is really, really good. And if it will be applying to all the other products and all the packages and stuff like that, that will be awesome. And I remember in the past all the Visual Studio upgrades when they were announcing, major version or at least minor major, and everyone was like, no, let's wait a week, or at least 2 weeks. Did you install it? Let's see the action, and then okay, that's my turn. So being not in the position like that, but just upgrading whenever it's ready. That's amazing point to be in.
Yeah, and Nick's actually raised a good point in the chat that this has positives and negatives. For some people, the auto upgrades on cloud become a problem. But I think it's more that's more of a mindset thing. If we just say between the point releases, they're relatively small, and the upgrade isn't a big thing. Maybe the cloud thing becomes less of a problem. Maybe Umbraco have got some plans for that if their release schedule is changing. Something else I'll note, which again, pure speculation, is that last week on Thursday we had the .NET Core release. This week on Thursday we had the 8.7 release, and what happens next Thursday? Who knows? But the 1st of October is also a Thursday, so it looks like maybe for at least the past few releases, big announcements, things have shifted from being a Tuesday to a Thursday.
Yep, to Thursday.
I wonder what will happen with that. Maybe it just gives HQ a bit more time in the week to prepare the release and get it out there.
I think so.
Freedom Fridays and playing with.
Exactly. That's a good idea. I think it might improve whatever it is if it's consistent and followed. That's definitely good for all parties here. But yeah, all the automated upgrades, all the discussions about upgrading or not upgrading. I also follow some of the tweets and discussions on Twitter about it. It's interesting to see, and you even mentioned this, that WordPress is doing an amazing in this area with the upgrades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And aiming to be as same good in this area as big players like that is definitely a good aim. Nothing bad. And
Kevin Jump's got his auto upgrade package, which helps with that if you're not on cloud. So
exactly. We are getting there. Yeah, and another packages, another products. I've mentioned already something from Umbraco side. Forms as well received a new upgrade, which is 8.5.
We've spoken about this before, Marcin, haven't we?
Yes, we have. But right now it's covering it in more depth. Plus, there was a fix and the whole story of how the release was performed. And again, coming back to this topic of being more safe, in this case it definitely affects as well forms, because forms are installed on cloud. They are also shipped with cloud, and if we're talking about automatic upgrades, forms must also follow this pattern and not cause problems with being upgraded automatically. So it's good to see this written, and of course it's good to see upgrades of forms, because we've been also talking about a lot of issues which were hanging on the forms board, a lot of problems with that. So yeah, it's definitely right now the week in which we are seeing a lot of activity around various areas of Umbraco products, which is always good. So yeah, this blog post is.
We've just had from Seb an 8.8 RC. Definitely coming. Very good.
Nice. Very, very good. And other releases from community members, you've mentioned Kevin Jump already. Kevin joined the blog party. Yeah, blog party with his upgrades to using complete.
This was released a matter of hours after 8.7 was actually released. So Kevin is doing a truly amazing job of staying on top of this. So he's upgraded Usync and Usync Complete literally on the same day as 8.7 comes out, which is incredible.
But if you take a look on small details here, this description of the release, screenshots of improvements, all of the things which changed. I don't need to install it to see, oh, I need to upgrade, right? I need to. Yeah. It's just, if we are talking about list of things which are fixed, compared to this type of descriptions, I simply love it. It's great to see this.
Really, really good.
And another releases, Matryoshka. From Soren also got a few bug fixes fixed and some of the improvements. New version is out, and DocType Grid Editor as well, yes. which again is going to be competing with kind of strongly typed approach of dealing with DocTypes, but Soren is in the topic. And everything with what is done around this is also affecting his work.
I do hope at some point that this package can go away and that we can have a really nice block-based grid solution. But time. I'm sure Soren's working on it, as he's already been experimenting. So let's wait and see.
Another great package creator, Anders and Skybrat, released the first stable version of Textbox for Umbraco, and I'm sure that there were also some upgrades of their internal packages, Skybrat Essentials, and some other ones which are also dependencies for this one or the other ones. So yeah, there were some releases, and I know that some of the agencies, companies, and developers are using their Essentials libraries as well. So yeah, there were new upgrades there, and the package like Color Picker. Where
0.01 release.
Yes, 0.01
by Bjarne.
I haven't used it yet, but still, when all the time when I'm reminding myself about it, I need to see. Okay, I need it in some of the projects. So
we have the color. It's not really a color picker in the same way, is it? We have the color picker in core, but it's not quite as good. So this would probably be a really good addition.
Yeah, but sometimes why I think it's very important, because not everyone is opening the developers tools and can translate hex values into some other colors. And I even seen this week the brand guides with some RGBA, some printing colors and stuff like that. So I see use cases for it. So definitely great to see this in action. And 2 packages upgrades from Purnima. Recent activity dashboard, which is showing the content activity around Umbraco installation, plus DocTypes previews, compositions viewer, that's the name. So a package which is exposing some of the relations and with the compositions got an upgrade this week.
One of those, I think Kevin Jump made a pull request to the composition viewer. And that's what this release is. So Kevin's all over the show.
Yeah, speaking about it, maybe we can jump one topic ahead, because we've seen some of the issues being created for the accessibility in the packages, and that's something what other package creators are going to follow right now. Lee created the accessibility review issue on his contentment. Soren also added it to the Matryoshka, and speaking about it, I found a really interesting article this week. I don't know if you've seen this on my Twitter feed. It was about 5 most annoying website features I face as a blind person every single day. And again, it reminds all of us how important those small things are. And usually when we are dealing with more accessible websites, those are small changes affecting small amount of work being added to that, and are making a massive impact for people with any kind of disabilities like that.
Something I noticed this week is YouTube, if you're logged out, has started popping up things saying you should log in, and it takes the context away from what you're doing. And of course, that's going to be probably dreadful from an accessibility point of view if you're trying to navigate around the page with a screen reader and something suddenly pops up. And considerations that we should have in any system, really. But
things like autoplay in videos, that's also something what can cause problems, because I didn't even thought about it, but if video starts playing, the screen readers is stopping its work, right? And they don't know what's going on the website. So that's small things like that, and we can all help, right? We can all help in those reviews. There is of course a kind of informal or maybe more even formal accessibility team in the Umbraco family, and I already see that those people are getting there, helping, which is always great, and everyone can probably do a roundup.
And so these pull requests or these issues have been created primarily with the purpose of encouraging contributions during Hacktoberfest. So for packages, you can now say, this package contributes towards the Umbraco Hacktoberfest contributions. So I can't remember the rules. I'm not sure if they've been published somewhere. Was it last year you had to just do one contribution to get a t-shirt or some swag? But packages count too. So the accessibility issues are a fantastic example of some that have been put there that people can contribute to.
Yeah, and here is a kind of exactly the list of call to actions and preparations for the Hacktoberfest, because it's still a couple weeks to start. We can pick the issues, create the issues, and I think we can use this space as a call to action for all the package creators to list the issues. That's the really a massive step, and I know that even from my internal experiences, I have a lot of things which I would improve in the thing I'm working on, and I don't want to, or I don't have time to drop them in the issues list. And I think if we will all do that, we can easily help people to spend this time and spend their investment time into helping us in achieving something more. Yeah,
I totally agree.
And there was one more thing which was called for volunteers, and that's something
This is an interesting thing that hasn't been done yet, but I know that Sebastian has spoken about this before, that there is a need at times to refresh the community teams, because whilst the community teams aren't like an exclusive group of people and they're the only ones that can work on the specific thing that they're working on, be it pull requests or packages, it's sometimes quite nice to get some fresh thoughts and fresh ideas into those groups. And so now the Unicore team, the core collaborators team, and the packages team are opening up for volunteers. And so you can apply or reapply if you're currently a member to be part of these teams. And there's a form you can fill in. And I think you've got until maybe 2 weeks today, 2 weeks yesterday.
Let's see.
Fill that in, 24th September.
Yeah. But if you will see that 3 years from now was the first time when the community team was formed, that's a lot. And again, we are talking a lot about teams and their efforts, but as you've said, I totally agree that sometimes people think, okay, teams are closed, and that's let them do the work, and we will just observe the outputs, and obviously it doesn't work like that. Also, team members are constantly looking for help, constantly raising issues on Twitter, discussing things on GitHub, and so on. So everyone can contribute, and this time, and in this case, this is just a chance to be officially joined or officially named as a community member, a community team member.
Team. So if you feel like you've got something to contribute, and I know Sebastian tweeted literally only a few moments ago that you don't need to worry. Do you feel like you're not good enough? Do they actually like you? Seb dislikes very few people. He doesn't bite. It's fine. But you can apply. There's nothing to lose in applying. And one of the really interesting things with the teams and the process in the past is they don't just want the logical people for. Yeah. This person's released hundreds of packages, they should be on the package team. It's not about that. They want a really nice rounded group. So perhaps you would be a fantastic addition to that team. There's no reason not to apply.
I think sometimes that people who might even be less experienced in Umbraco can do a bigger impact sometimes, because questions which are popping out sometimes from people who are not familiar with the ecosystem are just those questions which needs to be raised from time to time.
Or we think about ways in like shrouded in legacy of how things were done, and the reason it's done like that is because that happened before. But a fresh pair of eyes might go, well, why the hell are you doing it like that? What about this?
Yeah. why this is named content app?
Exactly.
Things like that. But yeah, that's a good chance to join and also use more effectively the opportunity of the Hacktoberfest and everything else to just help in general. But yeah, we can contribute in various ways, and also the big area of contributions is to share knowledge in general. You've said that there you had a discussion roundtable in London meetups yesterday, right? So that's meetups are obviously one chance of exchanging knowledge and discussing stuff. But the second one, and also really well established recently, are blog posts.
Yes.
And we can see more and more of them coming. And one of them which caught our attention this week is post from Rick Butterfield about his first experience with the .NET Core alpha version. So great blog post, really highlighting all of the things which happened around the alpha release. So Unicorner episode, background of what it is indeed, how to install it. So combination of all demos and examples, plus also a summary of umbraCoffee, where we were talking about the Unicorn alpha release. So yeah, I like blog posts like that, and I really, really like this wrap up because it highlights all of it. So big high five, Rick. And other blog posts. Did we have the blog post?
I don't think we've got many more blog posts, but there was a bit of knowledge shared this week. Jeffrey did a really good webinar.
Yeah.
Sharing how to get started with personalization in the marketing suite, which is just coming on leaps and bounds. And now with 8.7, they've got all of their segmentation stuff in there, so they can do a few more awesome things. Did you see there was a really interesting discussion this week as well from Matt? So whilst we're talking about all these new things, Matt raised, obviously from his background of working on vendor, what's the priority for people? Do people want features, or do they want the hot new tech? Do they want .NET Core compatibility straight away? Should that be his focus and we get no features in the next year, or should new features be the case? And then this kind of trickled down to some other things. What happens when .NET Core is released? .NET released, does the package on 8 just kind of stand still and the focus goes on to .NET Core? It's a really interesting time.
Yeah, I think we had this discussion when version 8 was kind of planned, and also package. And I don't know if it wasn't Matt indeed who raised this concern at some point, that what the package creators should do is it the time to migrate or to support version 8? And it's always a challenge here. We've been also talking with Umbraco HQ a couple of weeks back about that maybe a feature freeze might be helpful in general of the process of migration. But as a package creator, as a maintainer of something what is literally living within various installations, it's really hard to say, okay, I won't be delivering new features, because there is always a need for new feature.
It's a really interesting time, because whilst V7 has stopped active feature development indefinitely, that's fine. It's still getting bug fixes and patches, and so we may end up in a position where 7 still gets patches and updates. 8 is still alive and kicking for the majority of people, and the .NET Core version is the one that people are starting to get used to and experimenting with. And of course, the focus at some point needs to shift to .NET Core, as it did with the 7 to 8 transition. But when is the really critical question. And it's the same thing for package devs. If the majority of Matt's customers are on V8, there's it's very difficult to justify investing loads of time in .NET Core, at least right now. So,
but that's also something what we've been discussing at the retreat or somewhere else during the chats, that maybe the teams which are right now .NET Core teams or package teams, they can somehow help, or at least monitor what and deliver the information, what needs to be changed, how it can be improved, and even starting from the list of most used packages or things like that. In general, the community can help, because I think the biggest issue in all those packages is that usually people are on their own or they are just small teams which don't have resources to divide, because if you have 5 people to work on constant features, 5 people to work on a new version for .NET Core, that's fine, but usually we are not in that luxury positions. So yeah, the collaboration is essential here, and I think that after alphas, doing betas, we will all have the pleasure of testing things there and seeing how many things needs to change to make it work.
Indeed.
So yeah, great thread. But also, speaking about discussion and affecting what's next, that's also RFC, which is new on the list.
This has been spoken about for so long. Yeah. Like the idea that just nested content, forget V8 and forget the block editor, just nested content, and what happens to the data that gets stored in that, and where should it be stored, because it's currently just a big blob of JSON data. Where the hell does that data actually go? Should it really be a native document in the CMS with a UDI? Should it be reusable easily in core? All of this sort of stuff. There's a ton of questions and complexity around this sort of this thing. But there's now an RFC. So for element types in V8, there's an intention at some point to move those into out of being some big blob of JSON and into the database. Probably as like a node or a document in the traditional sense.
Yeah, I haven't seen your reply, but
it's very long.
It's great. But it's great. It's great to see so many great inputs, and I still have some notes to be added. I remember our discussions about it. So yeah, everyone can share their thoughts, and I remember there were some valid points and various challenges of achieving what we would like to see there from in comparison to what can be done within small amount of work or big amount.
Really
of work.
Interesting discussing in this thread. Carol and Nick and Matt have all mentioned different ways that they handle non-content data. We've discussed before, Marcin, like taxonomy, categories, tags.
Yes.
How do you create those? Are they nodes in your tree, but they're not rootable? So should they really be in the tree? Sometimes you have one set that's global, but one set localized per site, and you maybe use both, and it can be really complicated. And the hope is that elements in the DB can become that way of storing all of that non-rootable content.
Yeah. There are some ideas of various starting points of root nodes for that, to decouple it from -1, which we all know in the terms of crawling the content in Umbraco. So yeah, if anyone is interested, what are the challenges with contents being stored in Umbraco? That's a great thread also to learn about the complexity behind what we usually just use and see, and it proves that there is a lot of thinking needed to make something what might be visible as a small change. Just put it on the DB. It's not that simple.
Yeah, it's really simple. So I raised the point of when does stuff get deleted and versioned and so much complexity.
Exactly. Maybe a wall can help.
Anyone need a wall?
I've seen some volunteers. Jeffrey wants to have it. So
and the schnitzel though. Is that really in their office still? That's surely maybe that's what's caused the coronavirus outbreak.
Interesting theory. Yeah, but they have schnitzel. They are kind of what is the name of the place where you are leaving things you don't need anymore, cars and stuff like that in English.
Garage?
Trash. No, when you're just destroying cars and leaving the metal there.
Like a dump.
Yeah. So, the wall is waiting for new owner. Shannon also wanted to get it shipped to Australia.
Well, Neil actually offered. I don't know if it's sincere or not, that he will hire a car and drive it to Jeffrey. But the condition was that's fine, but please take the schnitzel back.
Okay, that's really cool to see. And last but not least, we also had this. Speaking about Niels, we also had an announcement that he will be a second keynote speaker on the Dutch festival this year. It's right now Scott Henselman and Niels being announced. And if I'm correct, today is the last day because the speakers
extended the CFP, didn't they?
Yes,
Yes.
and today is the last day, so everyone can submit.
At the end of the day, to submit a community talk, which is 20-25 minutes of a demo or something you want to do, and it can be virtual. Don't worry. Don't forget, the event is virtual. It's free. Anyone can attend. You just need to put your name down, but also speaking in the same way. Just submit an idea. It doesn't have to be fully fledged.
Exactly.
You've got until the end of the day.
But yeah, that's a wrap. That's all. Then I've seen some chats, and Dean asked if the community creators team, documentation creators team was the first one, or was already a team. So it wasn't new.
It was the original team, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first one, exactly. The first
and
team.
It's largely unchanged since its inception. Beyond the interns, Busra and Sophie, who joined in January, it's not really changed. The kind of core members are there. And if you look back 3 years ago, the documentation was an absolute mess. So, you can clearly see the great work they're doing.
The results of work from the teams. Exactly. Cool. So that was a really, really nice week. And as we were discussing, it's kind of easier to predict some of the things now. And then we don't need to guess anymore. We can just await, help, and contribute to make it all happen and become better. That's awesome. So yeah, that's everything. If you missed anything, Callum made a great effort, combined with me as well. We've updated links in the episodes in the past. So thanks for keeping it.
Episode 135, which we've lost the notes for, and I'm going to have to go back and make them up again. But updated, don't worry.
But thanks for keeping an eye on that. I can't remember. It was probably Nick who asked for links for last week's episode. We will be doing them and updates of them more carefully right now.
This, and we've never done it. We've never got round to it.
We always have issues. We also have issues. So that's it's a lot of to-dos, lack of time to do them. But yeah, we will get there. We will get there. So yeah, as always, final call to action: like, subscribe, share it across your companies and teams. If anyone wants to just be up to date on what's happening in the Umbraco community and around Umbraco itself, hopefully it brings you a value and shorten the path of discovering it all by yourself.
Subscribe your sister, your mum, your grandma, your dog, everyone.
Callum,
last week.
You were on holiday. We passed 500 subscribers. Let's get it to 600 before the end of the year. Yeah, challenge accepted. Accepted. So yeah, thank you all, and as always, see you next Friday.
Indeed. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Bye.